What's up, everybody? The PS5 Pro is a really good console, and I really liked it. That'll come into play later. So, as you can see, I got the Pro. Well, what's it doing here? It's not hooked up. Let's talk about the appearance, huh? Shall we? Pretty console, man. Looks good. You don't realize how much smaller and how much more compact this thing is until you pick up the PlayStation 5 Fat Boy. This is quite a bit smaller. I saw side-by-sides on YouTube. It didn't really look that much smaller, but trust me, it is. It's more compact. It's more sleek. It's just a better looking console. But we really worried about how this damn thing looks. Still packaged like a pile of shit, as Sony does. Let's talk about the guts. Unfortunately, that is where the differences stop. Now I want to read to you a review that a guy that I follow on Twitter wrote. And I find this to be pretty gosh damn factual. In fact, I'll put a link to his channel in the description. Not his Twitter, his channel. I'll do his Twitter too. He's pretty honest, and honesty is hard to find. My PS5 Pro conclusion is day one, the shit is ass. But there's like 2 to 3 games that show what it's capable of, and in the future, it might be worth it. That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into the differences. First things first, you know me, I had to fire up old games. I fired up Batman Arkham Knight. I immediately saw what Digital Foundry was talking about when it comes to the words, icons, stuff like that. Those definitely do look better through the PSSR upscaling technique that Sony uses. So you do get better looking words, and that jumps right off the page as soon as you fire up Red Dead on PS5 or PS4 through backwards compatibility. PS5 through backwards compatibility. Words jumping off the page, so I'm like, the words definitely look better. Then you get into the game, Red Dead 1, I don't see a difference. Not, to be expected. Is this guy really going to harp on old games? We're just talking about the PSSR upscaling technique for old games. I fired up Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight could look clear. It may. Now I have my PS5 Standard and my PS5 Pro, and I switched between the inputs, so I couldn't look at these things at the exact same time. I couldn't fire them up at the same time either, so there was like a 10-minute disparity in between each play session, okay? So it may look clear. I couldn't tell. Red Dead 2 looks identical. Shadow War looks the same. Just Cause 3, I went to download that, and then I saw on Digital Foundry it was glitching all over the place with PSSR on, so I figured, screw that, I didn't do it. None of these games look any better. If there's a mild increase, I can't effing tell the difference. And that's a problem, I feel like, because when you go to Xbox Series X or Xbox One X, Red Dead 2 is still the definitive edition. Shadow War is still the definitive edition. Mafia 3 still looks like washed out dog shit even with PSSR on. Xbox One X, the shit looks like it's in 4K. Just so much better. Mad Max looks the same. On Xbox, it's 120 FPS. Okay, so let's get to the new games. Forget about the old games, okay? This isn't for old games, it's for new games. Okay, let's get into the new games. So the first thing I do, which I think is logical, is to fire up Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster. It's the newest game, so I figured this is going to show the biggest differences. People, I can't tell the difference. I took screenshots, I took them with my phone, with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I don't see a difference. If there's a difference, it would have to be side by side. In people, even then, I still can't tell. When I'm watching YouTube videos, I can't tell. But a lot of times, you do need to see shit in person. So, Horizon Forbidden West, there might be a difference. I don't know. I can't tell. Spider-Man, can't tell. Keep in mind, I had these consoles set up right next to each other. So I'd play one, turn it off, play the next one. So it wasn't that much time that it passed. So maybe if I had them side by side, there'd be a bigger difference. Resident Evil 4, I fired that up. Resident Evil 4 Remake, that shot up to like 100 and, I don't know, I took a screenshot of it, like 112 frames, 115 frames. That was impressive. and it didn't seem to lose any visual fidelity. I read that it's running 1080p. That's a good looking 1080p. That was a plus. As soon as I saw that, I said, hey, I might need to keep this, because firing it up on the standard, it's running 60 FPS. Huge. That is huge. Fired up Last of Us. That looked very crisp. Gave me the option to enable the Pro. Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man. All these games told me to enable Pro. Last of Us 1, Last of Us 2, enable Pro mode. I did it. I looked, that's running like 85 FPS. I said, wow, this runs higher frames too. Went back to the standard. Last of Us is running 85 FPS on the standard as well. I think it was 84 FPS. I didn't know that it ran that on the standard PS5. So we're running the same frame rate. It may look a little crisper on Pro. Can't really tell. Last of Us 2 looks crisper, but it's ever so slight. Like I went back and forth. I'm like, yeah, it looks a little sharper. It looks a little more crisp. Bear in mind, this console was $700 effing dollars. Okay? Now, I thought it was important for me to get this so I could see everything in person and do this for myself and put out an honest review of it. And I'm not seeing how this thing is worth $700. This is, I don't want to say it's a scam. I don't want to say that, because it does seem like it's built for the future. In fact, the guy I was talking to last night, and those of you that know me probably aren't going to know who I'm talking about, but he's like, dude, don't be negative on this review. Be positive. Just be positive. Rep the system and watch the views pour in. This is what you're dealing with online. You understand this, right? This is what you're dealing with. People, if you're negative, then you can't continue to rep the product and all the little games that come out and shit like that. And some people, there's some dudes on Twitter that I saw repping the shit out of it. And one of the guys I like a lot. And it's like, damn, are my eyes going bad? My eyes aren't going bad, people. The differences just aren't there. Not yet. Maybe later. Again, Resident Evil 4, that was huge. Last of Us, slightly crisper. Stellar Blade. Digital Foundry talks about Stellar Blade. I do own Stellar Blade. I fired that up. Big difference. That's a big difference. I can't take nothing away from that. That looks good. But it's like, that kind of looks like shit on the standard PS5. So I don't know if that's due to just the how much better the Pro is than the standard PS5, or just shit optimization on the developer's part. But that is the best case for PSSR, bar none, hands down. I played GT7, that looks the same. I enabled the ray tracing. It didn't say anything about a Pro mode. I talked to my guy, and he said that the patch wasn't released, so I can't compare the two. I said, oh, well, it says so in the store that it's PS5 Pro enhanced, and, you know, I guess it's not. So, whatever. This is your PS5 Pro enhanced games. And as you can see, I own a lot of this shit. Let's see here. I didn't try Helldivers, because fuck Helldivers and those developers. Space Marine 2, which is easily my game of the year when we're talking about new games. No patch. Yeah. So I just don't see any reason to keep this thing. I'm going to throw it back in the box. I'm going to take it back. Am I done with it completely? I don't know. Who knows? I also saw that I was going to start buying games just to see enhancements. And that's going to be a problem. I almost bought Black Ops. I'm so happy that I'm not buying COD anymore. And now COD's being hand-delivered to me, free of charge, well, not free, through a subscription of Game Pass. And I still almost bought it just to see the enhancements. And then I find out there's no enhancements. So thank God I didn't do that. I bought Alan Wake 2 on Xbox. Almost bought it on PS5. But after looking at all the evidence, I said, you know what? I'm not falling for this anymore. Yeah, so it was just going to be a money trap. And none of the games, with the exception of Stellar Blade, are compelling enough to even waste my time or waste my money on this thing. Maybe in a year, maybe when GTA 6 comes out, I don't know, but it's going to have to be a pretty significant jump. I need to see it in comparisons online. The only thing this has done, so I thought maybe, you remember when I bought a 4K TV? And I was looking at the difference, I was like, it's not really that much different. It's different, but it's not that much different. When you go back to a 1080p TV, that's when you realize how good 4K is. So I thought to myself, after spending the weekend with the Pro, going back to the Fat Boy, it might be tough. I went back, I hooked up the standard. In fact, I bought a 4 terabyte SSD, NVMe SSD, and I stuck it in the standard, and I had it in the Pro all weekend long. I'm firing up these games on the standard, and I'm like, I don't see the differences. So yeah, it's not a $700. It's not a $700 console, people. At least not right now. So there's your review. Don't feel like, oh yeah, I need to go out and get this done. Get that shit out of your head. Okay? If you're tempted, Christmas is right around the corner. Spend that money on your people. Spend it on your loved ones. You're not missing anything. Maybe later, but right now, I assure you, it is not worth the money. Okay, I'll let you later.